Really sorry for the delay. So we'll start off without any further delays. Start with the Gita. Please follow me. Jai Radha Madhav Kunj Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Kunj Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Vrajana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yashodanandana Vrajana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhav Kunj Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Vrajana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yashodanandana Vrajana Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Thank you so much. Let's start the Mangalacharya prayers. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Ajnanatimirandhasya
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya
Jnananjanashalakaya
Jnananjanashalakaya
Chakshurummilitam Yena
Chakshurummilitam Yena
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Namo Vishnupadaya
Namo Vishnupadaya
Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale
Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale
Srimate Bhaktivedanta
Srimate Bhaktivedanta
Swamin Niti Namine
Swamin Niti Namine
Namaste Saraswate Deve
Namaste Saraswate Deve
Gauravani Pracharine
Gauravani Pracharine
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi
Pashyat Deshatarine
Paschat Deshatarine
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Mukam Karoti Vachalam Mukam Nandayate Yat Pada Mahamande Shri Guru Devataram Paramahananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwara. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you all for coming. I know it's the holiday vacation time. I wasn't expecting this many also today. Nice to have you all. Today is actually a very important topic, and that's the reason I wanted to. That's the reason Karthik Prabhu actually checked last time if everyone would be available. Because today's topic is something called as the absolute truth. It's a very important topic. See, it is only because of Bhagavad Gita that we got so much of knowledge and we know who is the worshipable deity or who is the supreme God. Right? We have a lot of times we have a question, right? Why does ISKCON actually take Krishna as supreme? A lot of people have this question. I had this question before I came into ISKCON, right? And they always talk about Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So we always have this why Hare Krishna? Why Krishna? Why not some other gods? Right? We have so many gods, right? So why like that? Right? If you see our Vedic scriptures, they talk about different kinds, many types of God. There's this 33,000 crores. It's called as Koti. Okay, Koti has actually two meanings. One is types, one is crores. There are many words in Sanskrit that has got two meanings actually. And a lot of people misinterpret. And when it comes to Ramayana also, there's something called as in Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana, something called as Mamsa. Right? So Mamsa has again two meanings. Mamsa is something called as meat. Mamsa is also known as the pulp of a fruit. Right? So a lot of people actually bring God to our level telling that Lord ate Mamsa. But if you see, if you read Valmiki Ramayana, there is only two mention of Mamsa. Only two. And rest if you see, it's completely talking about vegetarian diet. So when we have to do something, so we have to bring Lord to our level. Since Lord did it, I can also do it. Okay? Without understanding the context. So when you talk about Vedic scriptures, you have multiple a number of gods. 33, there are 33 types. Under that comes 33,000 crores of gods, right? And it's very difficult to actually, and every god has a different way of worshipping. It's not easy. We can't have an altar, have 33,000 crores of gods and start worshipping, right? In 24 hours will be very less, right? So we have to understand. It's only through Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, various other shastras, we understand who is the supreme god. And if ISKCON is talking about Krishna as supreme, ISKCON did make Krishna supreme god. That we have to understand. A lot of people have this misconception that I also had. So thinking that there's so many gods, right? Why ISKCON has made him? So ISKCON is just following Shastra. ISKCON just follows Shastra. So that is very important to understand why Krishna is called as a supreme god. So today, two of the things that we'll cover is very important. Who is the supreme god? Right? Who is the supreme god? And another thing is Lord a form or energy? Right? So this also various people have this doubt. So again, today we have joined for this Bhagavad Gita session, the absolute truth. That's the topic for today. And like always, we dedicate this presentation to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, because of whom we got this knowledge that and we are able to practice devotional service to the right person, right? So if you are, on a daily basis we are doing a lot of worship, we don't even know if it's the right worship, right? Then we follow certain things because it was followed in our family. And when someone asks, maybe our kids ask us, why do you do this? Right? Like the last session where science behind the rituals, why do we offer the incense? Why do we do the aarti? Why do we offer the flower? Right? Why do we blow the shank? Right? Right? So all these, now we know why we do that. Right? There is a scientific reason behind it. A lot of people, when we do it, and we are not able to answer to our future generation, that's when they actually don't have faith. Because we have been doing certain things on a mechanical way. And that's not the right way. Everything that we do, we should always have an answer as to why we do it. Right? If you talk about Vedic scriptures, we don't have a set rule in our scriptures that you are supposed to do this. Like any other faith. They have a set rule, no commandments that they need to follow. If you don't do this, you go to hell. If you do this, you go to hell. Right? Vedic scriptures are actually more open. Now if you see in the scriptures, it's only Vartalap. It's a talk between two or more people. Right? One is the speaker and another would be a person who is actually asking questions. Okay? When it comes to Bhagavad Gita, you have Arjuna and Krishna. When it comes to Bhagavatam, you have Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit. Right? So in Vedic scriptures, it's always like that. So let's start the topic today. A little late today. So one question that I would like to ask you, is God a person or an energy? Who says energy? Who says person? Okay. So what do you think it is? Energy.
Person's energy.
What do you say, Mark?
Person's energy.
Person's energy. That's actually right. So God, so a lot of people have this misconception. This is because we have a body, we can't take Lord has a body. So Lord has a form and Lord also has energy. So both are correct. Right? So that's what we learned today. Right? So Lord has a form. So Lord is inconceivable, He's omnipotent, He's all pervading. Right? He's all powerful. So if you say He can't have a form, how do you think that is right? We are actually limiting Lord. Right? Like if you see various other faiths also, if you see Bible or Genesis, it is written that human beings were made in the form of God. Right? Even they have. Even Quran, though they don't worship, there are certain sections, 11 point, I'll tell you the section, there are certain sections where there is a talk about the Lord, about His face, about His eyes. Right? So how can a person with no form have a face or eyes? Right? So, but it's not revealed to them in a complete way. When it comes to Vedic scriptures, you have the complete revelation. Right? So that's why. So here we have the Lord who's Venum Manam Tamaravinda Dalayatacham. So if you see Brahma Samhita, this complete description of the Lord. He holds the Venu, he's Shyama Sundar, he's this color, his eyes are like lotus petals, right? So complete and the description of the spiritual world as well. Right? So this is very important. So it's based on so all the faith that we have, it has some kind of description about the form of the Lord. It is only our limitation that we can't take Lord in a form. We think He is material. But Lord is not material, He is Satchidananda Vigraha. He has a spiritual form. Right? And that is not something that we can see. Because our eyes are material, we can see only matter. Right? So even when Lord Krishna actually wanted to show his Virat roop to Arjuna, what did Lord Krishna say? You'll have to have divine eyes to see that. Right? And that's when he actually shows the Virat roop. Right? So let's dig deep into this. Please repeat after me. This is Loka from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 1, canto 1, chapter 2, and verse 11. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattva yajni. I think there is something wrong with this. Tattva yajyanam advayam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabdyate. There's some typing mistake, is actually Shabdyate. Okay. Can someone read this translation, please?
Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman. Is it Paramatma or Bhagavan?
Right. Thank you so much, Bharati. So here two things are there. Two words that we focus on. One is transcendentalist and another is non-dual. So non-dual means there is no duplicate. Right? And transcendentalists are the person who are the people who go beyond the human perception. They know that something beyond the material world. Right? Something beyond exists beyond the material world. So those are called the transcendentalists. And here we are talking about three levels. One is Brahman. It's not Brahman. The Brahman is the one who is with the thread. Right? This is Brahman, and there is Paramatma, and there is Bhagavan. Right? So these are very important. Okay? This is very important. So this is when we are actually, if you are able to, if someone comes and questions you about Lord's energy, is he formless or is he with form? So there are different levels. So when it comes to Vedic scriptures, we agree that Lord is formless and Lord is a form. Now there are several gradations as to how this comes. So one is the Brahman feature, Paramatma feature, and Bhagavan feature. We'll actually dig in deep, and I'll tell you a little more. So you would have seen this when you're actually traveling, right? When you see this, this is a nice scenery. So this looks far, it looks like a nice painting, the mountains, regions, right? When you go a little closer, you will see what all exists. You will see the fauna, trees, fauna, you will see the animals. You might see a little bit of some of the houses that is kept, right? And when you go a little more deep into, when you walk into the mountain, you will actually meet sometimes people or see the animals also, right? So this is what the Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan feature is, right? I'll tell you, just hold on to this. I'll give you another analogy. Sunrise, early morning, when our mother used to wake us up, that's morning, right? And sunrise actually comes into our room. We don't go outside and check if the sun is really out. We understand that when the sunrise hits us, the sun is already there, right? That's normal. Right? So let's look at this. So there is sunrise, And when we go outside, we look at the sun, we see the sun disk. Right? And when you actually dig deep into Shastras, we know there is a sun god also. There is a presiding deity in the sun. And that is called Vivaswan. Right? So a lot of people think that people can't exist in the sun, people can't exist in different planets. But our Shastras say there are people existing in the planets. Just like we feel that right now we are in land, but there are animals in the water also, right? They have a specific body to adapt to water. So when you are in the sun or any different planets, as per Vedic scriptures, you have a certain kind of body to exist there, which may not be visible to our eyes. Right? So this is the three features that I am talking about. I'll tell you a little more. So Brahman is the effulgence from the Lord's body. I'll give you the Praman, I'll give you from where I'm actually bringing this up. So Brahman, the formless feature that a lot of Jnanis actually focus on, right? It's the Brahman feature. That is the formless feature. That actually comes, Lord Krishna says, Brahmano aham pratishtha. That this effulgence is coming from my body. Right? I'll give you the Praman. So here, you understand, there are three different, I'll tell you how Brahman, Paramatma and the Bhagavan feature actually fit in here. Okay? This is the Brahma Jyoti that I'm talking about, the Brahman feature, right? Which is the formless aspect, the light. A lot of people, there are a lot of Jnanis who actually meditate on this and they just want to merge into this. You would have heard this, right? Merge into Brahma Jyoti, merge into the effulgence, right? And they feel this is the ultimate. But when you read Bhagavad Gita, when you read Srimad Bhagavatam, this is just the first level. Right? The next level is the Paramatma feature. The Lord says, I am seated in everyone's heart, every atom, everyone's heart, I am seated as Paramatma in Bhagavad Gita. I'll talk about the Praman also about this one. So this is the second feature. This is where the yogis actually meditate on the Paramatma feature. Check. So what is Brahman? Brahman is the effulgence from the Lord's body. Right? It's like bulb. You have the light that comes out. Just like the sun rays come out. Right? And what is the ultimate? So here I am actually giving you, let's take it as just for example or analogy purpose. The Brahman feature is the sun rays. Paramatma feature is the sun. And the Bhagavan feature is the preceding deity, that is the sun god. I'm just giving the analogy. And here it is Lord Krishna. Right? So there are three levels of gradations. So when a lot of people talk about that formless feature is the ultimate, that's not the ultimate. Worship of formless feature is fine. Right? A lot of times, it is very difficult for us to have any kind of relationship formless feature. Can you have a relationship with light or wind? Right? Our experience in life, we have to actually see our experience in life. We have relationship with whom? A person. Son, daughter, wife, father, mother. They're all person, right? We can't have a loving, when Lord says, offer devotional service to me. How can you offer devotional service to the light? It's very difficult. And Lord reciprocates. How would a light reciprocate? There is no loving concept. The concept of love, a concept of bhakti doesn't come there. So this is for a lot of jnanis actually who think that, who are into the impersonal feature of the Lord. Which is okay, which is not wrong, by the way. But it is not the ultimate. Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma says this is not the ultimate. Lord Brahma, who is the secondary creator, is the one who is saying that this is not the ultimate. Beyond this is the Paramatma feature. That is, one who is seated in everyone's heart. A lot of yogis actually meditate on that. Right? And then there is Bhagavan feature. Do you know what is Bhagavan? If you see, we have various Puranas, right? 18 Puranas are there. Right? In 18 Puranas, if you see any kind of other Puranas, it become any Puranas. There is no mention of Bhagavan. When it comes to Bhagavad Gita, it says Bhagavan Uvacha. It's only for Lord Krishna. right? I will get a little more deep as to, I'll tell you what Bhagavan actually means. Okay? So did you all get this concept? Paramatma, Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan feature. So it is the Bhagavan feature which is the ultimate, and from him comes, then when Lord says, I expand, and Paramatma is the localized feature of me in every living entity. And the Brahman feature is my effulgence. Right? So ultimately everything comes from the form. Right? So let's dig a little more deep about Brahman. I'll give you some. So this one, again, I'm not reading out from this. There is some mistake here. Probably it's my laptop. This is not. So let's just read the translation. So this is actually taken from Brahma Samhita. Right? Brahma Samhita is a scripture where Lord Brahma is actually offering his prayers to Lord Krishna. There was a Leela called Brahma Vimohan Leela. Does anyone know Brahma Vimohan Leela? No? Right. So I'll tell you in brief what is Brahma Vimohan Leela. Very nice Leela. So when Lord was very small, he used to go grazing his cows and calves, right? To the mountains with his gopas and gopis. So he used to go. And he went and Narada Muni, from the celestial world, he actually spoke to Lord Brahma and he said, Brahmaji, Narada Muni is actually Lord Brahma's son. So Brahmaji, Lord has actually descended on the earthly planet. Why don't you take darshan? So Brahmaji didn't believe. Lord has taken birth in the earthly planet. Okay, I'll go and take darshan, he says. So when Lord Brahma actually comes to see him from far, he sees Lord Krishna in a very playful mood, playing with the gopas and gopis, stealing their food, taking food from their mouth and eating. So Lord Brahma is thinking, how can a God be like this? Stealing from someone's mouth and eating. Stealing food and running away. Right? So Brahmaji wanted to test. Please God, let me check. So what Brahmaji, when everyone slept, right? There was a time in the afternoon, I think we probably slept. So Brahmaji, what he did, he actually took all the gopas and the calves. Took all the gopas and the calves. And he actually hid them under a Sumeru mountain. Okay? He hid them under Sumeru mountain. And when Lord Krishna woke up, the Lord is someone who knows everything because he is there as Paramatma in Lord Brahma's heart also. So he knows that Lord Brahma is there and he wanted to check. So what did Lord do? Lord expanded has those gopas and those calves. So after 1 year, when Lord Brahma comes and sees, those calves are still present, those gopas are still present, those gopis are still present. And he went and checked the Sumeru mountain, they are still unconscious there. How are these two people still existing? So that's when Lord Krishna actually showed that all the 400 forms of Vishnu coming out of, seated in every gopas and every calves and every cow's body, heart. So that's when Lord Brahma got to know that Sri Krishna is the Supreme. Right? So he is seated in everyone's heart. So this is called Brahma Vimohan Leela. It's a little bit, this actually in detail, it's very nice to hear this. I just gave a gist in just 5 minutes just so that I don't, just you have an understanding. So if you read the Krishna book, it has got this. It has got this Leela. Very nice. And if you read this, this is one of the verses in that when Lord Brahma is actually once he does Abhishek to Lord Krishna and he offers praise to Lord Krishna. So he says, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose effulgence is the source of non-differentiated Brahman, mentioned in the Upanishads, being differentiated from the infinity of glories of the mundane universe, appears as an indivisible, infinite, limitless truth. So here, Brahmaji is actually making a point that the non-differentiated Brahman is actually the effulgence that is coming out of Lord Krishna's body. So here Lord Brahma is saying that, and in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that himself. Right? Let's dig in deep. Energy and energetic. So Lord has got his energy. Right? He has got his energy. But where did the energy come from? from the energetic. Shakti and Shaktiman. The Shakti comes from Shaktiman. Right? So it's very important because the Lord has various energies. So if this is a little more a topic that we need to get into detail. There is internal energy of the Lord, there is marginal energy of the Lord, there is external energy of the Lord. This is actually a deep concept. Right? For now, we need to understand that Lord is there and Lord has his energies. Right? And when you talk about Brahman and the Paramatma feature, is also a type of energy of the Lord. Right? But the source is the Lord himself, the Bhagavan feature. Right? Let's look at this. We'll just read the translation because there's something wrong with the shloka. And here Krishna himself said, this is the shloka where he says Brahmano hi Pratishthānam. That's the first line. So, and I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. So when it comes to Brahman, right? Brahman is all pervading. When it comes to Paramatma, Paramatma is also all pervading. But Paramatma has another feature also, which is called controlling. So in one of the shlokas, it is said that Paramatma, I am seated in everyone's heart and I am directing the individuals. How does the Paramatma direct the individuals? Does anybody know? So like Paramatma is seated within your heart. So if you see, I think there is a praman for that in Mundaka Upanishad, I think. So there are two birds they are shown. So one is our Atma and one is Paramatma. So whatever the one bird is eating and the other bird is witnessing. So what it says is, whatever we are doing in this life or the previous life, Paramatma is actually witnessing everything. And when he says directing, then when Paramatma features, when I say controlling, he controls or directs. It's because of various activities that you have done, he directs how your life should be, based on whatever activities you have done. So Brahman is all pervading, Paramatma is all pervading and has a controlling feature also. And when it comes to Bhagavan, he is all pervading, he is controlling, and he is Ananda. Right? He has got various qualities. You get to know that from the various pastimes that the Lord has done, right? Various qualities. When it comes to mercy, can you tell anything about Krishna's mercy? Or when it comes to, say, friendship? When Krishna says, Suhurdamaham Bhutanam, so every I'm a well-wishing friend of every living entity. He is so friendly. So when you see the Sudama pastime, right? He shows how friendly he is. He actually seated Sudama in his own throne. You know how he washed Sudama's feet? With his own tears. Right? So when there are different qualities of the Lord. So when I say all pervading, controlling, and the different qualities of the Lord. He is merciful, he is tolerating. He is tolerating all of us, right? What all nonsense we do on a daily basis. Right? Based on what I have done, I think I should be killed right at this moment. But he is tolerating. Right? So there are various qualities of the Lord. They say he has got 64 qualities. Lord Krishna has got 64 qualities, the highest. Right? We'll get deep into that. Paramatma. Let's dig deep into Paramatma. So this is what I was talking about. Mundaka Upanishad. There are two birds that are seated. So one is our soul, and next is the Paramatma who is actually witnessing what we are doing. And that's how he controls or directs. Whatever based on whatever activities we have done, he directs us. Right? The two birds, inseparable companions, perch on the same tree. One eats the fruit, the other looks on. The first bird is the individual self, feeding on the pleasures and the plain pains of the world. This other is the universal self, that's the Paramatma, silently witnessing all. So whatever we do, kitna bhi chupke karo aap ghar mein, when we say or outside, we feel that nobody knows. There's one person who knows everything. Right? And that's the localized feature of the Lord, which is called Paramatma. That's how Lord is seated in every living entity. Right? See, this is another shloka from Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, 23rd verse. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as an overseer and permitter, and who is known as the super soul. So Paramatma is known as the super soul also. So he is the one who actually oversees and permits. So whatever desire that we have, right? We actually discussed this in our previous classes. Whatever desires that we have, it has to be sanctioned by the Lord. If you only have the credits, karma credits, that's only when it gets sanctioned. So that's why you see, he's the one, he's saying, he's the supreme proprietor and he's the permitter. Right? As a living entity, we can only desire. We can desire and it gets sanctioned only based on if we have the karma credits. Right? You would have seen a lot of kids actually, or people also, when you attend an interview or you do exams also, a lot of people who study really well and sometimes they don't score that much. And there are people who study a previous day and they score a little more. Right? You would have seen that. Even in a corporate culture, a lot of people get a lot of success without doing a lot of anything. Because it's only because of karma credits. It's not because he has done something great. He is due to get that. And it will come to him. Somehow or the other. Right? This is the shloka where Krishna says that I am seated in everyone's heart. Ishvara sarvabhutana hiddeshu arjuna tishtati brahmayam sarvabhutani yantra rudhani maya. The Supreme Lord is seated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine that is yantra rudhani, made of material energy. So again, we are giving you an idea where I am talking about Brahman and Paramatma, where it's coming from. Various scriptures I spoke about, from Brahma Samhita, from Mundaka Upanishad, from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Bhagavad Gita. So this is where we are trying to understand the different levels of self-realization. There are three levels, that is Brahman, Paramatma and the Bhagavan feature. So let's look at, oh there's one more. Again Krishna says that Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matasmriti jnanam apohanam cha vedeshu sarve raham eva vedyo vedanta krit veda ved eva chaham. I am seated in everyone's heart. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto. And from me comes remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. But all the Vedas, I am to be known. That's why I need always say, no, a lot of people want to learn Vedas. Right? A proper study of Vedas would actually take more than 25 to 30 years. Do we have that kind of time? So when Krishna says, Vedeshu sarve aham eva vedyo. So by learning Vedas, what are you supposed to know? You're supposed to know me. So what is the shortcut for us? Kali Yuga. Do we need that? Do we need to read the Vedas? If you have the time, you can. But so we have to be very intelligent. Right? If you see, a lot of people actually dying at 35, 40. Right? It's very sad to see that. The Kali Yuga, they say, the age is 100 years. It slowly integrates, and at a later point of time, it will reach a stage where 20 years is the maximum. When a person who reaches 20 years will be considered very old. Now we see that, right? People are struggling to reach 70 also. Right? So that's how degradation is happening. So when you know our span of life is less, and we don't even know, we are not even certain if the next moment I step out of this building, if I'll be alive. So what is the best way? What would an intelligent person do? Mahamantra and read the scripture that is in hand. 700 shlokas, Bhagavad Gita. It is the easiest. You read this shloka, you read Bhagavad Gita, it is the easiest way to understand the Lord. And with Mahamantra, a lot of people think Mahamantra, they don't give a lot of importance to Mahamantra. There is a reason why in the Shastras it's mentioned that you need to actually chant. A lot of realization comes when you actually chant. Right? And this has to be given a lot of importance. There has to be a lot of faith. There is no difference between Krishna and Nam. Kali Kali Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. So in Kali Kal, Nama Rupa is Krishna Avatar, is Krishna himself. So when we talk about chanting in the morning, we have to dedicate that time because that is the time with Krishna. But we take it in a very mechanical way. We have to finish so many rounds, and then we are thinking, office, I have so much work, and we do it very mechanically. And what happens? After 5-6 years, we have been chanting, and then someone comes and says, Prabhuji, I don't see any change in me. Then what I will say? I will say you need to look back and see if you have done the things in the right way. Right? So that's why we say always be conscious about the way you are practicing your spirituality. Always be conscious. Don't do anything mechanically. Even when we are doing Aarti for the Lord, it's not mechanical. We should not do it mechanically. We are doing Aarti for the Lord. Like last time I mentioned, the science behind the rituals, right? When we are doing that, we are offering all the 5 Panchabhutas to the Lord. Back. It's very important to do that. To have that mindset, to have that conscious thinking that I am offering this back to you, Lord, because you have given this, all this to me free of cost. If the government gives me electricity, they charge. But you have given me the sun free of cost. You don't even charge me. Plants, trees, everything is available. It's just us who has kept a price for everything. Right? It's not the Lord, He has given us everything. So this is a way we offer our respects, our gratitude to the Lord. And it's very important to do that. Right? So now the Bhagavan Puja. This is a very famous shloka. When it comes to ISKCON, we actually chant this a lot. So we have certain festivals we actually chant the entire Brahma Samhita. So Brahma Samhita is a scripture, we don't have the entire scripture, it was destroyed. Right? It was only, we got this scripture hundreds of years back in one of the temples in Tamil Nadu. And we only got one chapter. And this chapter is where Lord Brahma is actually, the entire thing is about the prayers of Lord Brahma to Lord Krishna, but we just have one chapter. But in this one chapter it says, it has got so much wisdom and so much knowledge. He gives us insight into Lord's spiritual world. Right? So this is the first shloka. Please recite after me. So this is a different meter when it comes to this shloka. Please repeat after me. Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishnaha Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govindaha Sarvakarana Karanam. Can someone read the translation, please?
There are many personalities possessing the qualities of Bhagavan, but Krishna is the supreme, because none can excel him. He is the supreme person, and his body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. He is the primeval Lord, Govinda, and the cause of all causes.
Thank you, Mataji. So here Lord Brahma says, Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishna. The supreme controller is Krishna, who is Satchidananda Vigraha, who has a form, but his form is Satchidananda, always eternal, right? Always full of knowledge. Ananda is full of bliss. Right? So that is Satchidananda Vigraha. Anadiradir Govinda is the first person. First person. And he is the Sarva Karana Karana. He is the cause of all causes. Right? This cause of all causes, I think even the scientists are trying to find out. It's just that they don't want to put the God aspect into it. You know, when it comes to Big Bang, it's just a theory, it has to be proved here. Right? So again, everyone's trying to find the cause of all causes. Right? There's the question, right? Did the chicken come first or the egg? Right? Still a question. But Krishna says, Aham Bija Pradam Pita. I am the seed giving father. So Krishna impregnates the Prakriti. Right? And that's how all the living entities come into picture. Simultaneously everyone is existing. Right? Let's get into the next sloka. So this is from Vishnu Puran. So when I spoke about Bhagavan, right, I told you what is Bhagavan. So Bhagavan, so there is a Muni called Parashar Muni. So he is actually Vedavyas's father. So he gives an understanding as to what is Bhagavan. Right? So everyone is not called Bhagavan. So even if you read the scriptures, I told you, right? In Srimad Bhagavatam and in Bhagavad Gita, it's only Lord Krishna who is called as the Bhagavan. Why is he called the Bhagavan? See, Bhagavan means one who possesses these 6 opulences in full. All riches, all strength, all influence, all wisdom, all beauty, and all renunciation. So these are the 6 features of Lord, of Bhagavan. In this material world, we'll have someone who is rich, who is all rich, but he won't be all beautiful. He won't be all renunciate. Right? There are certain things that will be missing. Right? So when Krishna says all riches, because Sarvaloka Maheshwara, is Sarvaloka, he owns everything in this universe. All the Brahmandas that come. Because it's coming out because we'll discuss about how the creation comes into picture. I'm not sure if it comes in this particular slide. It's a deeper topic anyways. So Bhagavan, I just want to tell why Krishna is called the Bhagavan. So you need to understand this. This is very important. Because a lot of people actually throw away this word as a simple word. It is not. Bhagavan has a deeper meaning. We can't call everyone Bhagavan. Right? Bhagavan is one who has all riches, all strength, all influence, all wisdom, all beauty, and is all renunciate. Right? This is Parashar Muni, and he is the first one who actually wrote the Vishnu Puran. So out of all the 18 Puranas, the first Puran was written by Parashar Muni. Now, this is one important thing. See, why we, when it comes to ISKCON or many other spiritual organizations, why do they actually worship the form of the Lord? Right? And this is the same question, not just us, even Arjuna asked. See, like I said, Vedic scriptures is always about questioning. Right? If you have a doubt, you always question. So even when Krishna is actually talking about the Brahman, his Brahman feature, his Paramatma feature, and his Bhagavan feature, Arjuna had a question. Supreme God is a personal or a personal light? The question that he asked is, I'm not reading because that is not right. Okay? I'm just reading the translation. So Arjuna inquired, Arjuna Vacha, which are considered to be more perfect? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? So Arjuna also had a question. Should I worship the formless aspect of you, or the aspect with the form aspect? We all have this question, right? We all had this question also. Right? I certainly had this question. Because only when I had a lot of talk with a lot of people, they were only focusing on the impersonal feature of the Lord. You see a lot of spiritualists only focusing. Like I said, it is not wrong. It is an aspect of the Lord. The formless feature is an aspect of the Lord. But that is not the highest aspect. Right? So let's look at what Krishna says, what Krishna replies to. Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Personality of God had said, those who fix their mind on my personal form, right, and are always engaged in worshipping me, with great and transcendental faith, are considered by me to be the most perfect. So 12.1 was Arjuna's question, 12.2 is Krishna's answer. So when you say, and there are a lot of, we are talking about a lot of yogas that Krishna talks about. There is Karma Yoga, there is Jnana Yoga, there is Ashtanga Yoga. And there is Bhakti Yoga. So once Krishna explained everything, Arjuna had a question. Which is the best yoga? Right? So we have so many yogas, so many pathways. to reach the ultimate destination or to reach the self-realized. Once you want to know self-realization. So Arjuna asked, which is the best way? And Krishna says in 6th chapter, Yogina Mati Sarvesha Mat Gatentra Shraddhavan Bhajate Yomam. So he says, Yogi, one who is the biggest, who is the best yogi? Who is the one who does devotional service unto me, unto my form. Shraddhavan Bhajate Yomam. Right? So Krishna talks about his personal feature. If you see the various shlokas also, he emphasizes on I, me, ma. Madbada, madbhakto, madhyati, mam namaskuru, mam namaskuru. There is another shloka. There are many shlokas out there. There is one shloka which is very famous, 18.66. Which is the shloka? Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam praja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshashyami masucha. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam. He doesn't say to sharanam to Brahman or Paramatma. Ma. So when you see Bhagavad Gita, there is a lot of focus on I, me. Very egoistic, no? Lord is. Huh? It's actually one of the reasons why Lord says this. Ego we have. Lord doesn't have. Lord is actually giving us the right information. We'll get to a little bit of ego a little later. When it comes to gods, number of gods that we have, right? So yes, so this one you understood, right? The gods are there. Lord said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be the most perfect. Right? 12.2. Just remember this verse, 12.1, Arjuna asks the question, and 12.2, Krishna answers. 6th chapter, if I'm not wrong, the verse that I spoke, where Krishna says Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti means love, devotional service. Bhakti involves two people. Right? And bhakti can be only done to a person. One was a person form. Otherwise, how do I, when I offer my bhoga to the Lord, how do I even feel that Lord doesn't have eyes, arms, mouth? It's not the reciprocation won't be there. Right? It is only logical to understand that even in our daily life, we deal with people. We deal with people. We have certain emotion because there is a person. If it's a light or something, we don't have any kind of emotions. The emotions come when there is a person involved. Right? It's only logical to understand this. This one. So Krishna says, now, Krishna also talks about the impersonal feature that is the Brahman. So Krishna says, for those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Why is it, Krishna says that it's very difficult? Those who are actually worshipping the Brahman feature or the unmanifested or the personal feature. Why is it very difficult? Exactly. Very nice answer. So you can't relate. The concept of love, the concept of bhakti. So when it comes to self-realization or understanding the absolute truth, Krishna says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Only my devotees will understand me. He doesn't say, Jnani mam abhijanati, Jnani mam abhijanati. He doesn't say that. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. So it's very important to understand the path that we are following, why we are following it. There should be a backing, right? Why we are following. Why does ISKCON say that? We follow the right path to reach Krishna. So I also had this question, why just Bhakti Yoga when we are Karma Yoga, when we are Jnana Yoga, when we are Ashtanga Yoga. So it's only because the Lord said this is the best to reach Him. And this is the easiest way to reach Him. In this world, in this time, Kali Yuga, when you talk about meditation, it's very difficult to meditate. 5 minutes you try closing your eyes, and they say meditate on the nothingness, meditate on your breath. It's very difficult. Right? It's very difficult. You will actually fall asleep. It's very difficult. So that's why in Srimad Bhagavatam, every yuga has a proper way of worship. Kritaya dhyayato Vishnu. Right? Kritaya dhyayato Vishnu is Satya Yuga, it was meditating on Vishnu. Then what is the second one? Tretayo yadato makher. So in Treta Yuga, it was more of yajna. So you do yajna for becoming a self-realized person. Dwapare paricharyam. In Dwapar Yuga, it was elaborate worship of the Lord in the temple. Who has the time now? Elaborate worship. 5 to 6 hours they spent in the temple worshipping the Lord, dressing him up, making food for him. Do we have the time? And in Kali Yuga, what it says? Kalau tat Hari Kirtana. In Kalau, that is Kali Yuga, it is Hari Kirtana. So every Yuga, the Lord has given a certain way. He understands based on our mindset. When it comes to the lifespan, in Satya Yuga, they say that people used to live for 100,000 years. Valmiki did meditation for 60,000 years. So talk about meditation, I don't think we can do for 5 minutes or beyond 5 minutes, it's very tough. And then there is second one is Yajna. So Yajna is very difficult because we don't have the right Brahmanas also right now. Qualified Brahmanas are very difficult to find. Just because you have those 2 rupees, right, doesn't make you Brahmana. A lot of people they talk about a lot of casteism, right? Casteism. The casteism is something that we people have created. Krishna has created various varna and ashramas. Chaturvarnyam maya shrishtam. And it is based on guna karma vibhagase. It is based on the nature and the qualities. It is not based on janma. A Brahmana's son, if he is only qualified, he becomes a Brahmana. Just because he is born in a Brahmana's family, he is not a Brahmana. He probably will have a quality of a Kshatriya or a Shudra. So it's always based on qualities, the nature that he's carrying. Right? In schools now, I think they follow a similar structure where they try to understand the kids, right? What their likings are. And based on that, they mold them. Right? It's very similar to that. So, during earlier times, a lot of people manipulated this and it became where if you are born in a certain family, you become that particular Brahmana or Kshatriya or whoever. Even if you see a material world, a doctor's son need not be a doctor. He needs to have the right qualification to become a doctor. Right? Similarly, it's the same thing. Right? So here, like Mataji said, the advancement is very difficult. Krishna himself says, you can do it, but the advancement is very difficult. Because the prema bhakti, the bhav that we have, that is the ultimate, which will only come through bhakti. Bhakti of the personal form. Right? When I think about the Lord, I need to have a form in my mind. Whom am I? How does the Lord look? What does he do? What does he like? Right? So when it comes to Krishna's pastimes, which other God has done so many pastimes? So many pastimes. Why does Lord descend to the material world? Does anybody know? There are 3 things actually why he comes. Okay? That is the Bhagavad Gita, you are right. Simple. Yes,
Because he can.
Because he can. Because he can.
To liberate us.
To liberate us. Okay. Good. So there are 3 very simple things. Correction of the demons. Right? Affection for his devotees. Correction of the demons. Affection of devotees. And then, what is the last one? Well, that is it. Affection for devotees. And then to conduct various pastimes to attract his devotees. See, he is inconceivable, right? Can you even think of Lord, a normal person lifting the Govardhan mountain? He is inconceivable. He can do it. So he does various feats that a normal human being can't. That's how he tries to attract That's why I say, no, he's very possessive and he wants a lot of attention. Lord Krishna is like that. Okay? Okay? We just discussed why is it troublesome in case of Brahman, people who are worshipping the Brahman feature of the Lord, and Mataji just rightly said that we won't have any kind of connection. And it's very difficult. The path is there, you can worship, there is nothing wrong in worshipping, but it will take a lot of time. It will take a lot of time. It's not that we'll have perfection, we'll reach perfection this very lifetime. It's very difficult. And focus, yes, focus, that is also right. Master says focus also is right. It's very difficult. And when Krishna says, Brahmano Pratishta, this is the effulgence that is coming out from the body, why not worship the Lord Himself? So an intelligent person would do that, right? Worship the source. Sarva Karana Karanam. Why worship anything else? Right? So, we are always a person. We are always a person. So, there are a lot of probably think that maybe if someone asks a question, I'll answer that. Let's not confuse you. So, we are always a person and we always have attachment or relationship with another person or someone with a form. It's always like that, right? Or be it a dog or be it anyone in a family. Everyone has a form and that's how we connect. So there are three things: one who serves, one who does the service, and one who is a servant. There are three things that come into picture when it comes to the worship of the Bhagavan feature. That is what we do on a daily basis. If you come on Sunday, we do that. Right? Serve, service, and serve. So we conclude that God is a person, and He is the source of the formless aspect, which is the Brahman feature. And one should perform devotional service unto Him because that is the best as per Lord Sri Krishna Himself, not as per ISKCON, like a lot of people think. Right? अरे वो हरे कृष्णा वाले कृष्णा को ही मानते हैं, कृष्णा को क्यों मानते हैं? So this is a question that I have always had. That's when you actually start understanding, right, the scriptures. The ISKCON understands the scriptures and only based on scriptures which is taken Krishna as supreme. And these are the various levels that Krishna talks about, the various levels Lord Brahma talks about. Right? So let's dig. This is one important thing. Are there many gods or one God? What do you think? Many gods or one God?
One supreme, the other manifestation.
Okay, one supreme, another manifestation. Anybody has anything else? Others may be considered as demigods, so it is demigods, not demigods. Okay? Demi. Right? So they are highly above the Jivatmas. They are not the Supreme Lord, but they are not Jivas. They are worshipable. So a lot of people consider Demi as dummy and think that we are offending. We are not offending, it's Demi. Right? So Demi are not gods, but they are above the Jivatmas and they have certain powers. Right? So let's look deep into this. Are there many gods or one God? So this one we spoke. This is again the same shloka that we spoke about. Lord Brahma's praise Lord Krishna, Ishvaraha, Parama Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadiradir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. Right? So there is one Supreme Lord. There is one Supreme Lord. Just like in a company, you have one CEO, and there are various departments. Right? To handle various departments, you have the administration department. Everything, someone will be delegated certain powers. Right? So it is right, we follow a certain monotheistic theology and we have a polytheistic theology as well. So there is a concept of one Supreme Lord and there is a concept of many gods also. But the Supreme Lord is just one. Right? So it is monotheistic and it is polytheistic also. Right? So let's dig a little more deep. So this is one more prayer of from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, first verse. Let's read the translation. Dear Lord Brahma said, my dear Lord, You are the only worshipable Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore I offer my humble obeisances and prayers just to please you. O Son of the King of the cowherds, your transcendental body is dark blue like a new cloud. Your garment is brilliant like lightning, and the beauty of your face is enhanced by your gaja earrings and the peacock feather on your head. Bearing garlands of various forest flowers and leaves, and equipped with a herding stick, a buffalo horn, and a flute, you stand beautifully with a morsel of food in your hand. So now we try to understand why Krishna is called as Supreme. We have to listen from the authorities. So in Srimad Bhagavatam there are 12 Mahajanas or 12 authorities. I'll tell the one of the main ones are Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, there's Yamadev, there is Bhishmadev, there are 4 Kumaras, there's the 12 authorities, there are various, I forgot the names. So let's take some of the shlokas from each scriptures and tell you why. So when you hear Lord Brahma says, you are the only worshipable Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And here is the description of the Lord also. Right? Like what he is wearing, how his face is looking, what are the kinds of earrings, right? And all the descriptions are here. So this is from Lord Brahma. This is another one from Srimad Bhagavatam. This is actually from this chapter called Rudra Gita, where Lord Shiva is actually talking. Right? My dear Lord, you are the topmost of all bestowers of all benediction, the oldest and supreme enjoyer among all enjoyers. You are the master of all worlds' metaphysical philosophy, for you are the supreme cause of all causes, Lord Krishna. You are the greatest of all religious principle, the supreme mind, and you have a brain which is never checked by any condition. Therefore, I repeatedly offer my obeisances unto you. So this is from a chapter called Canto 4, chapter 24, which is called Rudra Gita, where Lord Shiva is actually talking about Lord Krishna. Right? So we have to hear from authorities as to whom they consider as the supreme. Right? So here Lord Shiva says this. This is another verse from the same Srimad Bhagavatam where Lord Shiva is actually talking to Mata Parvati. He's saying, I'm always, so this is, I think Mata Parvati asks him, whom are you meditating on always? I see you closing your eyes always. Whom are you meditating on? Right? And that's what Lord Shiva says. I'm always engaged in offering obeisances to Lord Vasudeva in pure Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is always pure consciousness in which Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Vasudeva, is revealed without any covering. Who is Vasudeva? Krishna. Right? So this is where Lord Shiva is actually answering Mata Parvati when she asks the question, whom are you meditating on? Right? So this is again from Mahadeva. So Mahadeva is a great devotee of the Lord. In Bhagavatam it is said, Vaishnava Yata Shambho. When it comes to devotees, he is Param Vaishnava. So only who is blessed by Lord Shiva can get Lord Krishna's bhakti. There is no other way. So to go to Lord Krishna, if you offend Lord Shiva, you will never reach Krishna. Because Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva, they have a very intimate relationship. Right? They have a lot of love. There are so many pastimes, if you actually see, when probably I think when Krishna was born, right? Lord Shiva wanted to take darshan of the Lord. And he actually comes to Vrindavan. You know how Lord Shiva's attire is, right? He has that deer skin and he has got ashes smeared all over his body. There is scorpions walking on his head. There are snakes around his neck. It's very ghastly form. And he went in the same form to Yashodamai. Yashodamai doesn't know how Shiva looks like. So he thought some mendicant who has come to ask for alms. So he says, I have to look at your Lala. So she says, no, if he sees you like this, he'll start crying. I'm only scared to say, look at this feature of yours. No, I can't show it. And Lord Shiva is adamant. He says, I won't go without seeing Lala. And she doesn't allow because she is very protective, right? Yashodamai is very protective and she doesn't want to show Lala to Mahadev. The Mahadev also is very adamant. And then she somehow sends out Mahadev. And Mahadev in the banks of the river, I think in the river Yamuna, he is waiting there and he is very dejected. At the same time, Lord Krishna was in the cradle, he starts crying. Right? And he's not stopping. So Maya Yashoda is offering him a lot of food, milk, butter. He doesn't want anything. He's just crying incessantly. He's crying. And then one of the gopis, elderly gopis, comes and says, I think it's because of that particular person who probably would have cursed him. They are coming to a lot of conclusions as to you would have cursed him. Or maybe because he is a sadhu, you just left him without even listening to him. He wanted something, he wanted to darshan, he wanted to look at Lala, you didn't offer. Now, the best way is actually find him, show him Lala, then maybe Lala will keep quiet. And that's when they are started looking for Mahadev. Mahadev is near the bank of the river. He's very sad, he's sitting there. And then Maya Yashoda shows him Krishna. He carries Krishna. So that is the kind of relationship we have. Right? So that's why it says Vaishnava Yatha Shambho. So we need to have blessings of. So there is no way of, just because Krishna is the Supreme Lord, it doesn't mean that we offend any other gods. No, we can't do that. Everyone is worshipable. See, we have multiple gods in, if you say in Vedic, our scriptures, it is like an entry point. Right? It is like an entry point. Not everyone would understand the talk, if you talk about Supreme Lord. See, when I talk about Supreme Lord, there are people with a lot of attachment to a certain Lord, their ego comes into picture. How can you say he is Supreme? This is Supreme. There's always fighting is going on. There should not be a fight. See, always based on scriptures we should go. It should be always, any conclusion that we come, it should be based on scriptures. Right? There should be our ego, our attachment shouldn't come into picture. Right? That is very important. See here Lord Madhava says, O chief demigod among the demigods, O all-pervading Lord, Master of the universe, by your energy you are transformed into creation. You are the root and efficient cause of everything. You are not material. Indeed, you are the super soul or supreme living force of everything. Therefore, you are Parameshvara, the supreme controller of all controllers. This is the prayer of Lord Shiva when there was Mohini Avatar. Right? Everyone knows the story of Mohini Avatar? When during Samudra Manthan, Mohini Avatar comes to give the nectar to the Devas and the Asuras. So Lord takes the form of Mohini Avatar. And Lord Shiva always wants to take darshan of any new form that Lord takes. So he tells, Lord, I didn't see your Mohini Avatar. Everyone told that it's mesmerizing. So Lord Vishnu actually tells him, this is not a good time to actually see that. You will be completely under illusion. You will be in trouble. So then Lord Shiva says, no, I always want to have darshan of you. And then what happens is when Lord takes his form of Mohini Avatar, Lord Shiva gets attracted to Mohini Avatar. But again, that's a different story altogether. If we don't probably understand it right now, it's a little difficult. We have to understand what is Shiva Tattva, what is Vishnu Tattva. And that understanding will happen as we deepen our scriptural knowledge. Otherwise, we look at it in a very material way. That is not right. We look at things in perception of what we have seen and what we have experienced. So when it comes to spirituality, it is dealing with metaphysical, everything spiritual. We have to have a separate set of eyes. Shastra and Guru. And that's the way to actually see these things. Just like you can't see a bacteria, you need the help of a microscope. Right? With your naked eye, can you see? You can't. So just like that, to understand the Lord and His pastimes, you need Guru and Shastra. Because if we try to understand from what the limited knowledge that we have, we make Lord also very limited. Our understanding is this, we will fit Lord into that particular bracket. That is not right. So here we got to know from Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva about Lord Krishna. So here Mata Parvati is actually asking, so who do you worship? Right? And he says, of all types of worship of Lord Vishnu is best. Better than worship of Lord Vishnu is the worship of his devotee, the Vaishnava. Right? So here Lord Shiva is saying that the worship, the best type of worship is Aradhanam Sarvesham Vishnu Aradhanam Param. Worship of the Lord Vishnu is supreme. And even better than him is Worship of his devotees. Why worship of his devotees? Even better. God is always there as devotees. Another reason is, if it's just like I see a father and son, for instance, and I start asking his son's name. I tell he's so cute. What's his name? Where does he go? The father also feels very happy, right? Oh, he's asking about my son. He finds him very cute, right? So it's similar way when you actually worship his devotee. So Lord Krishna also feels very happy. Right? So that's why the Lord Shiva says, worship of his devotee is even better. But devotee is a person who never takes himself as God. So there was time when one of the people asked Srila Prabhupada, are you Krishna? Srila Prabhupada said, I'm not Krishna, I'm servant of Krishna. So that's how Acharyas are. And again he corrected that person. Sorry, I'm not servant of Krishna, I'm aspiring to be a servant of Krishna. See, that is the humble nature of an Acharya. He never treats himself as God. But his disciples may treat him as worship, same like God. Because he is very dear to God. Yasya prasadam bhagavat prasadam. If you please your Guru, Lord is automatically pleased. Simple way, no? Right? I divert a little. Okay? So we talk about Durga Devi. Durga Devi, another name for Durga Devi is Mahamaya. The external, this is actually a verse from Baba Samhita. Shrishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Chaye Vayasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga Ichhanurupam Apiyasya Cheshtate Sa Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The external potency Maya, who is of the nature of the shadow of the chitt potency, is worshipped by all people as Durga, the creating, preserving and destroying agency of this mundane world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda in accordance with those whose will Durga contains herself. See, another name for Durga is Prakriti. So Durga Devi, do you know what is the meaning of Durga? Durga means fort. Like this earthly planet is like a fort. And she is the one who is taking care of it. That's why she is called Durga. You see the three Trishul that she has, right? With this she is constantly poking us. The different kinds of trouble that she is giving us. It's not for that she is getting any pleasure. It is to make us understand that you are not from this world. You have to go back. That's why I am giving you all this trouble. There are three kinds of trouble, right? The first trouble is caused by our body and mind. The second trouble is caused by others. And the third trouble is caused by Adhyatmika, which is nature. So that is the three Trishul signifies. She is constantly poking us. You are trying to make a permanent residentship here. This is not the place. You will have happiness or sadness for some time only. It's all temporary here. So Durga has a big service for the Lord. She is constantly trying to get all the living entities like us. Every day we have some of the other trouble. Right? We spoke about three material nature. The three kinds, three gunas, Sattva guna, Rajo guna, Tamo guna. Who's connecting it? Durga Devi. Krishna connects it through. This is the service that Durga Devi does for Lord Krishna. She is the one who is handling it. Right? So she is constantly poking us, telling us that this is not the place. You have to go back to a spiritual world. You are a spiritual being. You are not a human being with a spirit soul. You are a spiritual being with a human body. Right? So this she is constantly telling us that. Then this one everyone knows, right? Vignaharta? Ganesha. Everyone knows Ganesha. Okay. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, whose lotus feet are always held by Ganesha upon the pair of Tivoli, protruding from his elephant head in order to obtain power for his functioning of destroying all the obstacles on the path of progress of the three worlds. Here Lord Brahma is saying, where does Ganesha get his strength from? Ganesha gets his strength from the Lord. So here Ganesha is saying, the Lord's feet is on Ganesha, and that's where Ganesha gets the blessings to become to take out all the obstacles from everyone's life. That's why he's called Vignaharta. He takes out all the obstacles, right? Anything that we do, we actually worship Ganesha. So ultimately, where it is coming from? It is coming from Lord himself. Right? So, we have to understand the various Mahajanas, what they are speaking about the Lord, why they are considering someone as supreme. Right? We got to know from Lord Brahma, we got to know from Lord Shiva. Right? If Krishna is supreme, then what about the others? They have this question. What about the others? We just leave them. Demigods, yes. Demigods. Let's actually look into, if you look at the administration structure of a company, I spoke about this, right? There's one CEO and there are different heads that take care of different departments. Sales head, finance head, marketing head, purchasing head. There are various departments. So when you conduct the universe also, there are administrative powers given to every god, every demigod, every devata. Every devi and devata. They have certain powers that they have. And so if you see, there was, I spoke about this, there was a particular reporter who had come to actually write an article about India. He visited various places, he visited various spiritual places also. And that's when the reporter actually gets interviewed by one of the persons in the airport. He says, you come to India, spiritual land. Do you know who the Supreme God is? Did you find out? There are so many gods that we have. Did you find out Supreme God? So he said, I went to many temples. So if you see, every temple the God is holding a weapon. Every temple, one or the other, Devi Devata is holding a weapon. This particular temple, this particular person is holding a flute. And he is standing very crooked. And alongside there are so many ladies. I am sure he is only the supreme because he has no work to do. Rest everyone has some other work. So that was his understanding. Right? Krishna doesn't have any work. Right? Krishna is always enjoying. Right? So that's how. So let me just. So this is a small quiz for you guys. Tell me, who is the reign minister then? If I give you the administrative structure of the universe, Krishna being the CEO, who is the reign minister? Indra. Very good. Next, look at this. Who is the light minister? Surya Dev? Yes. Who is the power minister? No. Agni Dev. Who is the water minister? Varuna. Very good. Who is the wind minister? Vayudev. Who is the treasurer? Kubera. Kubera is the treasurer. This one, everyone's favorite. Lakshmi Devi. Diwali comes, we fall at her feet. No? So Lakshmi Devi is everyone's favorite. Home Minister. Who is Home Minister? Yes, Durga Devi. You're right. Who is Education Minister? Mata Saraswati. Who is Construction Minister? It's a little difficult. Oh, very nice, very nice. Who is the Creation Minister? Lord Brahma. Who is the Annihilation Minister? Lord Shiva. Who is the Path Clearing Minister? Ganesha. Who is the Placement Minister? This is a little difficult. Does anybody know Placement Minister? One extra sweet. It is Prasad for answers. Who is it? Shani, no. Not Lord Vishnu. Not Narad. Yes. So Prabhuji has to get extra sweet. It is Yamaraj. So based on whatever we have done, he gives us placement next body.
I thought it's more of taking away.
So he decides also. There we have an entire list that takes as to who has done what based on that this end. So initial processing happens there. So Yamraj is the basement minister. Nice department, no? So what is the need of demigods? Can you tell? What is the need of demigods?
Fulfill our desires.
Fulfill our
Desire.
desires. Okay? Anything else? Who?
You will not do all the work.
CEO will not do the all work, so the devatas and devis do the work. So, need of demigods. See, Devi and Devatas are very important when you are managing. I'll give you a simple example: managing a company. It is just not CEO who can manage, right? He needs people. So he delegates his power to various people. So that's why the need of Devi Devatas is very important. So, Devi Devatas, it's very important. So these people are very, Devi Devatas are very close to the Lord because they are doing a great service for the Lord. From managing the wind or the power, administration, annihilation, minister, this is not an easy job. Only powerful entities can take up this job. And one of the reasons we have demigods also, when you see the Quran, let me just see if it's covered here. Oh, it's not covered. So I'll tell you, I'll go through this. You can actually look at this where Lord Shiva is actually talking about to Mother Parvati, Uma Devi also she is called. Oh beautiful lady, one should know that the Vishnu, Naradiya, Bhagavata, Garuda, Padma and Vara Puranas are in the mode of goodness. The Brahmanda, Brahma Vaivarta, Markandeya, Bhavishya, Vamana and Brahma Puranas are in the mode of passion. The Matsya Kurma Linga Shiva, Skanda and Agni Puranas are in the mode of ignorance. Now if you see in India, various people worship various gods. Right? Various people worship various gods. Now, it is written and it is said by Lord Shiva that every Purana, 80 Puranas that we have, it is also divided between the gunas. So some 6 Puranas are for people meant under the mode of goodness. Another 6 are for the people under the mode of passion. And another 6 are for the people under the mode of ignorance. It doesn't mean the Puranas under the mode of ignorance is a Tamasic Puran. It is for catering to people who are Tamasic. See, it is not very easy for people to accept Krishna or Lord Vishnu as supreme. They have certain attachment or devotion to certain worshipable Devi Devatas. So Lord wants to gather everyone. See, He worries about everyone. He knows that everyone has a different set of consciousness. It's not that if you talk about breaking the cycle of birth and death, going to Vaikuntha, going to Goloka Vrindavan, everyone would understand. No, everyone would not understand. Because every person is different. And Lord wants to cater to everyone. So all the Devi Devta worship that we have, it is like an entry point into the spiritual world. There are different doors. And it is like an entry point. At a later point, once he perfects his life worshipping that particular Devi Devta, he will get an understanding that I have to actually go beyond this. So it's like an entry point. So Lord is not someone who is just giving a set of rules, you have to follow this. If you don't follow this, you go to hell or heaven. Lord is very lovable and He is very caring. And we spoke about different consciousness, like 84 lakh species of life. Out of that, 400,000 species of human. That is based on consciousness. Everyone is different. Not that everyone can take Krishna's Vishnu as supreme. It's not possible. At a later stage, they will probably understand. So Krishna wants to cater to everyone. And that's why when Lord Shiva says this, the certain kind of Puranas that is meant for the people of goodness, certain kind of Puranas for the people in mode of passion, and certain kind of people, certain Puranas for the mode of for ignorance. So in the terms of ignorance, Puranas that are there, they will say that this particular Devi Devta is the supreme. And they start worshiping, which is not bad. Then they worship. But when they perfect the worship, that is when they actually get into a next realization. It is just to cater to everyone. Right? So it is not about having any kind of ego or attachment. And Krishna is all possessive. He is very possessive about his devotees because we are all his part and parcel. Mamevam chativo loke eva bhuta sanatana. That everyone is my part and parcel. So Krishna makes it very clear in Bhagavad Gita. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarva pravartate. So he says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo. I am the ultimate, I am the supreme. There is no one beyond me. There are various shlokas where Krishna tells that I am the supreme. This is just for people, for us to actually understand. Take up Gita, read it, understand. This short span of life that we have, we need to perfect it. If you do various other kinds of rituals, that will not get us to the supreme. It is waste. Shamai eva kevalam, it says. It's just shama, doing work, but it won't yield you good results. Right? So when Krishna actually talks about his supremacy in Bhagavad Gita, it is very important for us to understand why he says that. It is for our benefit. When he says Madhya Jimam Namaskuru, it's not that he wants us to put us down. He wants to bless us. And he can only bless us if we do obeisances, if we do pranam. It is not benefiting him, it is benefiting us. Well, it's very difficult for us to take the position of servant. We take it very cheaply. But who are we servant of? We are servant of the Supreme Lord. We are his part and parcel. Right? That we have done. So what is the time? 12:40 is it? So, another few things. This is 3 things that I want you all. So see, we are at level 2 right now. Level 2 right now, and everyone is going through a certain aspect in your life, and it's very important. We started off this course, I think 12-13 weeks back, right? And everyone, see, one of the main things is that chanting is very important. Hare Krishna Mahamantra is very important. We all by now, who are the chanting at least one round? Okay. What about the rest? When are we going to start? Will you start today? Huh? Please do start. See, it is not that I am getting anything out of it. Right? It is not that I am getting. See, we conduct Bhagavad Gita course for us to actually understand Bhagavad Gita and to understand Krishna. So when we know who the Supreme Lord is, why not? Chant his name and perfect our life. It is very important. So chanting is very important. So please do start. Who is doing 1 round, maybe you can start doing 2 rounds. Right? So it will help you a lot. So there are a lot of realizations that come into picture. When you start reading the Bhagavad Gita, you read a certain verse, certain sloka, you understand it in a certain way today. And when as you practice with the spirituality, with the spiritual chanting and hearing and all those things, your realization will be very different. The realization that I had 4 or 5 years back is not the realization that I have now. It is very different. That's why they say, no, you pick up any shloka of Bhagavad Gita, it feels like new. Fresh. Just like Krishna. Nava Yogana is. So just like Krishna, the words that are coming out of his mouth also, very fresh. Right? So it's very important. The regular study of Bhagavad Gita shloka, everybody is reading it through Shloka Idea. I know few of them are regularly reading. Please make use of it because this spiritual subject, right? You always need help. Material subject we take help. To learn chemistry, biology, we don't do it all over. So when it comes to spirituality also, we need to take help. There is nothing wrong in asking, I don't understand this. Can you please help me? It is good for you, it is good for the speaker also. Right? Okay, so what I will do is, I have some announcements also. Maybe what I will do is I will take a few questions right now. Once that is done, then the announcements. And then we go for mantra meditations. Yeah? Do you have a question? No problem. After the question, answer, you can stop. Anybody has a question? Please ask. Yes.
Probably you wanted to elaborate about one thing. Like we talked about, is Krishna egoistic because he keeps saying aham aham, and you said you'll elaborate.
Elaboration. Did I say elaborate on that?
I thought Yeah, I missed it.
Okay.
In Gita, you said there are many verses when he talks about
Yes, yes, yes.
Why? I thought you were going to tell about why.
See, one of the main reasons is because he wants us to realize who is the Supreme and offer our worship properly. In this world, you see a lot of people are just doing certain things based on a certain tradition that is followed in the house. A lot of them worship certain devatas because they have been worshipping it for many years. If you see Karthika Prabhuji, everyone, he's actually a Shaivite by background. He's from a Lingayat family. And they used to worship a lot, but there were certain questions that came up in his life which was only answered through Bhagavad Gita. Right? So it is not that we push away the other lords, we offer them respect. Right? That is very important. Like I said, we don't put anyone down. That is not a Vaishnava. Vaishnava is the devotees of Krishna and Vishnu. The Vaishnava is someone who respects everyone, even the ant. Because he sees Lord in that also. So when Krishna says, Aham, I, me, he is wanting us to focus that, put it in the head, where our focus should be. Because Krishna says, Anta kale cha mameva, smaran mukta kaleva, anta ka. You are supposed to think of me, then only you will come to me. Otherwise, you will be circling in this material world. It's very important. So that's why he talks a lot about why you should do devotional service to him. Why he constantly tells that I am the Supreme. I mean, he talks about Devi Devatas also. If you read the 7th chapter, I'm not sure about the verse from 22nd or 24th, he talks about Devi Devatas also. He talks that Devi Devatas are not independent, they are dependent on me. Whatever benediction that they offer, boon, whatever they offer, it comes through me. In Bhagavatam, there is a beautiful shloka where they say, Krishna says that just like there is a beautiful analogy that is given, that just like there is a tree, and then we have the branch, leaves, the fruits. So what do? For the tree to survive, what do? You water it. Where do you water it? On the root. So it's very difficult for us to actually keep all the 33,000 crore devatas happy. So what is the best way? To water the source. That Krishna is the source, he says. So you don't need to worry about worshipping the Devatas. You are worshipping the Supreme Lord just like you are pouring water on the tree, right? On the tree roots. The branches, the twigs, the flowers, they're all nourished. Right? Such an easy understanding, right? So here we are not offending any Devi Devatas, and we are actually directing our entire worship to Lord Krishna also. Any other question? Yes,
In generally we have been believing Vishnu and Krishna being an avatar.
Right.
In all the things we saw, we talked about Brahma, we talked about Shiva.
Right.
We're not talking about Vishnu. Is it synonym?
See, I'll tell you. If you actually talk about Vishnu, do you know how many types of Vishnu are there? There are 3 types of Vishnu. Right? I'll tell you a little bit about the creation process. If you read the Bhagavatam, you'll come to know the creation process. Right? So there is Krishna, who is Sarva Karana Karanam, the source of everything that is in, according to Brahma, according to Lord Shiva. And first expansion of Lord Krishna is Balaram. I'm just giving you an idea, I'm not getting in deep with this. And after Balaram, there is Adi Chaturvyoha. So there is Sankarshan, Aniruddha, Vasudeva, and Pradyumna. From Sankarshan comes Narayana. And there is Dvitiya Chaturvyoha again, Mahasankarshan, Aniruddha, Vasudeva, and Pradyumna again. And from there, from Mahasankarsana again, it comes Mahavishnu, also known as Karanatakshaya Vishnu. So this Karanatakshaya Vishnu is the one who exhales, and when he exhales, the different universes come out of his pores and his mouth. You would have seen the picture, right? The Mahavishnu is laying down, and different from his pores and his mouth, the Brahmandas are actually coming out. So that is Karanatakshaya Vishnu. Karanatakshaya Vishnu again expands to becomes Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and enters each universe. And this Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, in each universe, from his navel comes Lord Brahma. Now then Lord Garbhodakshaya Vishnu then expands and becomes Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. And this Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is the Paramatma that is seated inside. So you see, the supreme source is Krishna. Again, if you see Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, verse number 28, you can write this down, 1.3.28 in Srimad Bhagavatam. The entire avatar of Krishna is mentioned. Now this Dashavatar is very popular because of Jayadeva Goswami's one particular song. It's only Dashavatar. If you read Bhagavatam, there are infinite avatars of the Lord. They say, just like you can't count the tides of the ocean, that many avatars have taken place. If you see Dashavatar, there is a mention of Mohini avatar, Dhanvantri avatar, there is no mention. So that is just a popular song. Because of that, people believe this is the only avatar. See, and Krishna, as they say, no, Krishna enters because Krishna doesn't have any contact with the material world. Right? Krishna is all supreme and in the spiritual world. And when Garbhodakshaya Vishnu actually exhales the Brahmatas, and in that Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is there, and through him the Brahma comes. Krishna comes through Vishnu as a gateway because he has to enter the material world. It's a difficult topic. But if you read the 1.3.28 of Srimad Bhagavatam, it says all the incarnations that I have spoken about. It says Kala Pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Through all the incarnations that I have spoken about, Vyasadeva has spoken about, these are only the expansion or plenary expansions of Lord Krishna. And Swayam Bhagavan is Krishna. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. The Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, 3rd chapter, 28. And if you actually continuously read the whole creation process, just like I mentioned, it is in detail. So when people say about Vishnu also, they don't know that there are three different kinds of Mahavishnu. And avatar, the real meaning of avatar is someone who descends. Not someone who just came that time, born that time. He was always there. He descends from the spiritual world. And Krishna enters through Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And that's a gateway for him. Because Krishna is not in contact with the material world. So Garbhodakshaya is the one who is actually in contact with the material world, and Krishna comes through that. That's why it says, that's why a lot of people have a notion that Krishna is Vishnu avatar. In fact, through Bhagavatam we understand that Krishna is avatari, not avatar. A lot of people don't understand the meaning also of avatar. Avatar means someone who is descending. I hope I was clear, Prabhu. If there are... Sure.
Sir, what is the Radha? Basically, Krishna is everything. Then what is the role of...
Right. Very good question. What is Radharani? A lot of people also worship Radharani also. So Krishna, when I said that we are polytheistic and monotheistic also. We are polytheistic by monotheistic. So by is that the Supreme Lord has got the male form and the female form also. And Krishna, female form aspect is Radharani. It's this internal Shakti. Very close, and it's the topmost devotee of Lord Krishna. She is the Shakti, the internal potency, the Shakti of Lord Krishna. And she is the one who actually recommends us. So Lord Krishna, when Radharani recommends, right, that this is a very nice devotee, he has been doing devotional service, so Krishna can't reject. Because it's Radharani. Krishna can never reject Radharani. Recommendation, yes. That's what. So that's why we worship Radharani. Because she is very close to Krishna. And she is the female aspect of the divine. Any other questions? I think one more question. If you have any questions, I'm always here only. So I know it's a deep topic. I had a lot of questions when I actually went through this particular class many years ago. A lot of questions I had. Primarily most of it got answered when I actually started reading the scriptures. So it's not very easy because I also, if you see, my Kuldevta is Shiva only, Lord Shiva. Still we worship. So I had difficulty in taking Lord Krishna as something. But you know what, as we practice spirituality and as we start hearing from the bona fide sources, that's when we come to an understanding. There is not that we are actually neglecting anyone. We are not neglecting anyone, we are not putting anyone down. That is the biggest aparadh that we will do. If we offend any Devi Devatas, Krishna will not be pleased. Right? So it's very important to respect. But always, the worshipable, the supreme one, should be given his position. We can't worship someone else, Devi Devta as supreme. That is not right. That is offending that Devi Devta also. Right? Alright then, so what we do is, we will go through the mantra meditation. And I had a few announcements actually. This is done. So Jan 20th, right? We are going to a place called Bangaru Tirupati.